Today's video will be about notables and newness. In terms of notables, three things. First, the machine that I used this time, the motivational saying was, smile, you're getting stronger. The second notable is about these muscle spasms. I went to the doctor and it looks like this could be attributable to something else. I'll give you more detail in another video, but I just wanted to do a follow-up and mention it here to let you know the muscle spasms had continued, but solid core is not a reason that those muscle spasms were happening. I have a plan in place. The doctor gave me the plan. I'll implement the plan, and then I'll talk more about the muscle spasms in another video. The last notable is this side plank. If you watch my other videos, you know that I struggled with the side planks. I could do a traditional side plank. However, when you put that exercise on the Svetlana, I was challenged. I implemented the fix that the instructor encouraged me to do, and I'm happy to say that I was able to do the side plank. In fact, I was able to hold throughout the side plank, transition to a forward plank, and then transition to the other side and held that plank area for the side as well. In terms of newness, I have three things. The first thing that I noted is just to tell you this was a foundational course. And this particular course introduced some new positions. It was new to me, at least. The new position this time was the glute bridge. A traditional glute bridge, you're on the floor, your back is on the floor, your knees are bent, and then you raise your hips up as your feet remain flat on the floor. Well, when I went, she called for the position and she actually showed us before class. That's another thing. If there are positions that are going to be done that may be new to people, they will demonstrate before class starts. And when they get there, they'll call the name out. Well, she had demonstrated. I thought, oh, okay, no problem. When it was time for us to go to the glute bridge on the Svetlana, I couldn't get myself on the platform properly. I felt like my head was hanging off. I couldn't arrange my body right. And remember, this bed moves. So you could potentially really injure yourself trying to get in a particular position. So as I'm trying to get on the platform with my head, trying to get my bottom on the bench, trying to keep my feet flat, it just felt like the bed was just moving forward and back, forward and back. So I was a little frustrated about that. When it comes up again, I will just see, maybe they could give me another fix, because that was a challenge. You have to think platform stable. Your body is on the bed while your head and shoulders are on that platform, and that bed is moving back and forward, and you're having to move through the movement. So again, I'll bring that to you later to see if that's brought up again. The other thing was the setup of the particular class. This setup was every other machine. So I'm learning it's really the instructor's choice of how they put us. If you looked at my previous video, the community class, the platform for one machine was facing the front wall. The platform for the second machine was facing the back wall. The platform for the third machine was facing the front wall. And this went for every single machine. Everyone was on a machine. Rather than this class, we skipped a machine and we all faced the same directions. In terms of setup, another thing I wanted to mention, they do go over the poses like I said, but after that, This sort of instructor is walking around the room. You might remember from a previous video that I mentioned I was an aerobic instructor in the past. That type of aerobic instruction was done with the class. This particular instruction, the entire time, the instructor is off the machine, which is a difference. Gyms are generally set up that are doing these floor routines and all of that. You just look at the instructor, like I mentioned. So that's another thing that I wanted to mention. They're walking around. With that whole setup, it brings me to my third newness, and that is this spring level. And this is how you know, should I increase, decrease, or what have you. When we were doing one of the final poses, our arms were to our side, and then she asked us to raise our arms with our pulleys. I'm calling them pulleys. They probably have a different name, but when you raise your arm, you're holding the pulleys in your hand, and you've already set your spring level. Well, I was down, and as I lifted, she yelled out, "That's too easy for you." And then she put another spring, and then I was able to lift up, but my arms were no longer able to be parallel. It was just below a parallel position. So the instructors are really encouraging you, and they're pushing you to move to a different ability. I thought that I would mention that because that is very different than what you would see in a traditional, maybe aerobics class. She actually moved the spring. With that said, that is my notables and newness. I will see you on the next video. My next class is booked, and I'm ready to go. All the best.